Well, what the fuck is up, people? Community, hi. What's going on? This is a different way of being perceived. Community, what the fuck is up? Happy 2025. Welcome back to That's a Them Problem. I know, you can't stone me. That was my tech person, audio guy, researcher, Jody aka Variety behind the camera. Shout outs to him. He's the reason why you can see me in color. That is not a race joke. What is that? He just showed me a fucking math equation or something like that, and I was like, I don't know, bro. I've never been that person. Anyways, bro, like, I'm so excited to be back. It's been 3 years in the making of wanting to do this part of it. Firstly, let's gush. Let's be those hosts because it is wet season. Shout out to the Aquarius people. 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 I am an Aquarius if you didn't get the gist, I guess. But other than that, guys, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to season 1. Season 2 is going to be even more chaotic, even more intellectually stimulating. I'm in the business of trying to like be funny and teach as well, but not in like a going to school type of way, almost in like a, hey, I'm just here, you know, trying to spread as much information so that we can love each other a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Or at least tolerate each other. I'm in the business of tolerance, but also nothing moves me. So I'm also in the business of oxymorons. I'm an Aquarius. Anyways, yeah, welcome to season 2. Thank you so much for now watching and or listening. You can get this on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on that other place that I will not give credit to because you are funding wars. But if you pay for that, I am judging you silently. But like, I won't yuck your yum. Actually, no, I will yuck your yum. That's yuck. But yeah, let's get into it. I think for the first episode, I want to like kind of like revisit the ideas of season like 1 and the features, or at least the ideas that I wanted to like give out. So like the first thing we're gonna get into is the checkup. Welcome fucking back. If you didn't, you know, pay attention, we have a new logo, we have new imaging, we have a new vibe. The same bitch really though. Actually no, that's a lie. I feel like I'm the same person but just like an Apple software upgrade. Does that make sense? The hair's new, some of the tattoos are new. The name that people call me on the streets by is new because it's been 3 years, and in those 3 years I've now not only been a Nick, but now I am a Nexa. We'll get into that just now. But yeah, the last 3 years have been beautiful and at the same time quite dysfunctional. I want to say in the best way, but dysfunctional is dysfunctional, right? Oh yeah, I am old. I am 26 this year. I'm turning 26 in the next week, actually, next weekend, which is crazy. I am still a radio presenter. I'm still a radio music compiler. It's been a long time. Okay, this is actually something I wanted to talk about that I wrote in my notes. Can you tell I'm so important? Like, I find you guys so important. I have notes for you guys. But one of the things that I realized from not doing this podcast is that my confidence in being articulate with myself has dwindled a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a level of vulnerability that comes with talking on a mic to a bunch of people that either don't care or care enough to listen to me. But then it's a different situation of like being perceived in this way as well, where like now you can listen and look at me and see when I'm panicking about my words and see when I'm like I have thought too hard about a thought to try and get there. So I hope you enjoy me like seeing the buffering in my mind. And so I'm going to apologize beforehand that I might not be as articulate as I used to be. But guess what? It's a practice. So by the end of the season, I think I'll be running circles around you bitches in conversation. I'm joking. That came off so hard. I'm so sorry. Anyway, yeah, let's talk about it. So Nexa, hi, I'm Nexa. I'm a musician now. I play bass. That's cool, right? Been doing that for a minute. Last year, did the craziest, most unexpected thing of like gigging properly. Like, yeah, it's been a crazy ride. Didn't know that we would get here. Grateful that we are here. Trying to step it up. Trying to do 20 gigs this year. Trying to do a mini tour. Trying to put out a body of work that I'm really proud of and that I didn't feel like I needed to rush. So that's been very interesting because I don't know if you can tell, but my demeanor is quite manic and in a rush. And so I'm quite literally trying to like turn myself around. That was so like, anyway. But also with Nexa comes label. I don't know if some of you guys actually follow my personal, like, well, it's not even personal, it's my artist page, Nexa, but like majority of the things that I post now is either about Nexa or label, and label is like this collective group of people, myself, Variety, Shaylin J, and Liar, and we just, it's a creative hub where we just support each other, man. We make really cool, like amazing shit. We share cool and amazing resources with each other. We kind of support each other in that way, but we also hold each other accountable, which, can I tell you something? I feel like this is like a level above a band where like in a band, it's still like, oh yeah, these are still people, you know, and this is not like a house. This is not like a home, but it's not like a foundational, you know, idea, or at least it is. Obviously a band is a foundational idea, but like label is a business more than anything. Well, not more than anything. Well, it's structured like a business, but it's founded in the people. Do you know what I'm saying? And the creative flow of the people. So you will see a lot of label stuff. I will talk a lot about label stuff. I'll probably plug things that label does in and around the podcast, because hey, this is my podcast and not yours. I swear to God, sometimes I don't mean to sound like a cunt. I just find it so funny that after the fact, I'm like, wow, did I think it was going to sound any other way? So I apologize for being a cunt so soon in the episode. I feel like it's only like not even 10 minutes in. But here we are. Are we 10 minutes in? Oh, wow. I'm so good with like, you know, thinking about how time. Shut the fuck up, Nick. Anyway, yeah. Also, every episode is going to be dedicated to like obviously a different topic. Sometimes I'm going to teach you, sometimes I'm going to rant, sometimes I'm going to talk to other people about stupid shit, and sometimes I'm going to ask you, the watchers, the listeners, for ideas on either features or topics as well. But other than that, it's going to be really fucking cool. I'm really excited. Also listening to season 1 in retrospect, I am so wise. And I don't mean to not sound humble, but like I listen to myself then and the bullshit that I was talking about now, and I sit back being an older self and being like, wow, like they sound like they had it so together. They sound like they had it so in their grasp. And the further and further I get close, the further I move away from 20 and the closer I get to 30. I even lost my train. The train has left. Wow. The first last thought of the season. Anyway, I'll think of it and I'll come back to it. Shit, that's so funny. You should keep that in, but put it at the end. Anyways, I wrote good habits. I think I was wanting to talk about the good habits that I've acquired from the last 3 years, but like it's nothing to take home or like to clap or applaud about or to give me an award. I would love a naughty badge or like a gold star, but like personally I think this is normal shit that people should be doing, or at least people like my I'm just gonna stop there. Anyway, I and my friends, I and my little family have taken up hiking every other weekend, and I love that shit. I love being outside. I love kind of sweating but not really. I love sitting on big rocks and just looking out at high places. You know, there's no feeling like being away from the structure that is houses and shopping malls and all that other stupid shit, you know. And also it's a great excuse to like work out, move your body. I feel like that's something that I'm gonna preach more often. But like moving your body is really important, and I think you should do it, even if it's just taking a walk. Taking a walk is not only good for your health, it's good for your mind. That's something also that I've been trying to like have good habits of. I'm gonna talk about it in an episode that you're gonna do sort of a book club situation thing, but walking, writing, taking yourself out to go do fun shit, getting yourself a treat, bro, a reward. It's like a reward. You need to get a reward, bro. Just treating yourself like a human being, hey, treating yourself like a person, treating yourself like the little kid that you still are, but the world feels like you can't exist like that, and not in a weird way, but just in a creatively, like you're always going to like have to pull from your little self, you know. Bro, I feel like I'm going on a fucking tangent. I don't know where this conversation is going. Next part of this thing is Bains of Existence. The thing that I loved about this feature last season was that I could fully just rant about my life. Whatever made me upset that week, I could just be like, do you know what fucking grinds my gears? Do you know what grates my tits? Do you know what puts mud under my flaps? I'm still funny. Can you tell? But I just love to complain sometimes. I feel like it's important that people have a place to complain. And unfortunately for you, this is going to be the place I complain. So, the first thing on the Bains of Existence, I have 4. Are you ready? Number 1, stupid questions. If I tell you, hey, I'm going to like Pick and Pay, and then you go, oh, where are you going? Can you fetch me something? I literally told you where I'm going. Why are you asking that? That is a very simple example, but like it happens too often to stupid conversation, and I literally short circuit sometimes. Like some people don't listen, and that makes me so fucking irritated, and like that grinds my gears. It puts mud on my flaps. Where the fuck did that come from? I don't say that, so I don't know where that came from. Anyway, incompetent management, and this is with, but also like in general speaking, like if I haven't like planned my day out well enough, or I haven't like budgeted well enough, or like if I haven't done my due diligence to do something for someone well enough, then that's also incompetent management, and I fucking hate that shit. At least do something with like your full integrity. Do something like well, and do it once. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I fucking hate that shit. Ooh, I hate it when we have to circle back. Maybe let's have a meeting about it. Maybe you can go fuck yourself. It's Bains of Existence. This is where I have to rant and be like this. I promise I'll be nicer. Ooh, this is a deep one that like I feel I struggle with every single day, but it's in the narratives controlling the plot. I feel, for lack of a better word, kind of stupid in my old age now, where I still battle with the same type of like weird degrading inner dialogue that kind of shifts the way that I feel about myself throughout the day. And these are things that like unfortunately I've held for so long, and I still don't know why I still keep it so close to my heart. And I feel like that's a thing that grinds my gears every day. Is like, bro, at this point I'm literally fighting with this like thing that I thought I knew to be true, but now is just like a looming, haunting like idea that's just floating like a fucking blimp in my head, while simultaneously being like, bro, at this point you're a full adult, your brain, your cranium is fully like it's tightened now. Do you know what I'm saying? This is all I get, you know, this is all that I have. So at some point I have to give it up and be like, just be kind to yourself. This is all you like. This is all you have. This is all you get, type shit. And so I'm just trying to work out of it. I'm trying to build nuanced and happier stories over these weird, dark, ancient fucking narratives about myself. Do you know what I'm saying? And it goes so deep and like weird into like how I see myself as well in terms of like gender and stuff. We will talk about gender. Obviously, we'll talk about gender. It's called That's a Fucking Them Problem. It's not called That's a Fucking Them Problem. It's called That's. You knew that. Okay. And then the last thing that grinds my gears, another deep one and a bit of like a weird kind of thought, but it's the performance of being known. I feel it's so kind of easy to go through life not wanting to be perceived. And then when you do stuff like art or events or shit like that, where you're in front of people, where you're always being perceived, be it radio as well, like you're constantly having to like perform the idea that you are known by other people, and that means to be humble, to be nice, or to be this almost like grandiose sense of self. And I find that extremely exhausting. One thing that makes me the most awkward is like, for example, if Nexa's performing on stage and I get off stage and then someone comes to me, and obviously in the most like respectful and like happiest of like energy, wants to like talk to me, be like, oh, that was great. That is the most awkward thing to me, because me to myself I'm still Nick on stage trying to perform as this person that you guys know. Do you know what I'm saying? It's this I don't even have the words for it. Maybe I'll have an episode where I can dive deeper into that. And then before we actually get into the topic, because I wanted to round it back into the into the first episode of season 1, where we did an art analysis. We did one of my favorite artists. I want to just say that every day I think about maybe the same 10 things. 3 of those things is, 1, queer people, regardless of how they look or how they act, deserve respect. The same way any other person in this world deserves respect, but obviously I'm talking to the marginalized group of society, where it's kind of hard for people to act out of kindness when they biased and or intolerant towards certain types of people, right? Same thing with racism. It's not like let me move on to that. Anyway, queer people deserve respect. 2, guys, there's so much war. We're gonna talk about war actually in the artist analysis, because I thought it would be me, rounding off this socio-political stance that I'm taking with this podcast apparently. But there's so much war, and there's so much misunderstanding around the world, and there's so much just like the amount of left people in the world that are popping up and having the audacity to talk is actually like really, really scary. And I just wanted to say, please just make sure that in your safe communities, protect the people that you love, respect the people around you, be the obviously it's hard to, but be the change that you want to see, especially if you're a queer person that has to constantly be faced with bullshit, either be it like, homophobia, transphobia, in any way, shape or form. It's hard to be, but you need to be the person that's always going to have their heart in the right place. Do you know what I'm saying? All these people are acting from places of fear. You're scared to be free. You're scared that I break the ideas that you hold so deeply, and people are too afraid to reimagine their beliefs rather than to allow people to feel safe in their presence. And that's fucking weird. I want to tell you personally, that's fucking weird, bro. That's fucking weird, bro. And more likely than not, you've been around, you've lived around, you've been friends with probably queer trans people that you haven't even paid attention to, but because in your bigoted... Actually, I'm talking to the choir, because I don't think anyone that's watching my podcast thinks like this. And you know what? That's such a fucking slay. To know that the people that watch my podcast share the same sentiment of people are people, and they deserve everything the same way everyone else does, makes me feel like the community that I want to build around this is exactly where it's supposed to be. So shout outs to you, shout outs to your beautiful and soft minds. Not soft minds. Anyway, let's get into it. The art analysis. So season 1, we did Salvador Dali, and obviously he's a controversial fucking person. And when I mean controversial, he's a fascist. Obviously I don't fucking support that, and I do, as a person who appreciates art but also can draw the line of like, you know, morality and values, is that I wish I can practice the ability to separate the art from the artist. I hope that in me speaking about Salvador Dali, and I've done enough research on this artist, and I haven't found anything controversial, but also I won't be against being corrected. I'm always open to being educated and, you know, learning better, because obviously I'm just one person, and I know that I know nothing, so I'm always very open to being taught, as long as it's respectful. Anyway, that's obviously an obvious. Today, the artist we're talking about is Joan Miró. He is a Catalan artist, sculptor, and ceramicist. Catalan meaning he's of Spanish descent. And to me, his kind of like rise into his artistry and descent into his artistry, it seems like it started as art for art's sake. He just loved to create. He just loved to be in a space of imagination and of like endless possibility, and that's where it started, right? And that's where you can kind of like trace his surrealism. So obviously, me being me, and this being that's a them problem, surrealism will always be a genre of art that I'll always go back to, because it's fucking beautiful, bro. It's a full expression of the unconscious being able to express itself. It's dreamlike, it's illogical, it doesn't really need to make sense, but it's your, to me, if you could like take someone's mind and like boil it and then like throw it on a canvas, that would be someone's mind. I don't know if that made sense. It made sense in my mind. Anyway, but like surrealism, I, as you can tell, gravitate towards it very deeply, because I want to keep that dreamlike state. I want to keep that illogical type of part of me alive, because that's what also keeps me creative. It keeps me wanting to expand my mind to things that I wouldn't usually gravitate towards. And he started that way, and then he slowly, like progressively through his life, gets into very like deep expressionism, almost borderline German expressionism, which, if you didn't know, German expressionism is all about like these angsty, disgusting, like anxiety stricken, almost like what's the word I'm looking for, when you prophesy, prophetic type of energy when it comes to the type of art. And it's very expressive in the way that the brush strokes, so it's very like emotional. That's the best way I can put it. It's very emotional, and it's very distorted, and it's very from a subjective experience. Obviously, the way that it's distorted, the colors that they use is very, it's almost very personal. You can see or feel how this person has painted it. And so his life goes from surrealism, which is, you know, this fun, illogical, I just want to paint, I just want to make art for art's sake, to expressionism, where it's like, no, there's something very deeply disturbed in me that I need to express. And what I found out too is that Joan had not a typically tumultuous like growing up, but all of his interests did really upset his father. He started like drawing and painting when he was 13, and to his father's dismay, he enrolled into Fine Arts Academy at 18, and then began his life. And he was inspired by people like Van Gogh and Cézanne, and was even contemporaries with Pablo Picasso. So it was very much around that time. And during his childhood, there was like he had like these little written interviews where he said that he had a very like normal sort of childhood, but he was always drawing and always trying to escape through art in that way. And also at the same time, when he enrolled in Fine Art Academy, was the first time that he started experiencing a lot of mental health issues. And this is also when now his art started turning a little bit, right? Or at least started like becoming the signature that we know Miro to have, which is either completely like out of board, like abstract art, which Jody will politely put here. I'll give names of arts, of the art that I want to show you guys. It was either like completely out of pocket, doesn't make sense, but it's abstract and it's art, or it's very detailed, very like meticulous, almost like chaotic scatterbrained sort of surrealism, which I again very much enjoy. I love maximalism of art, but in a very intentional way. Like you put that there, you put so many things there because it needed to be there, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so at 18 he joined the Fine Arts Academy, went through his first depressive episode, and started sort of using painting and drawing as an escape to the life that he was living, which was already very chaotic during this time. In Spain, a lot of like religious conflicts were happening in Spain as well. This is also a lead up to the Second World War and the Spanish Civil War. So there was a lot of like angst in the air. Do you know what I'm saying? There was a lot of luminescent like energy of like very bad things about to happen. And so again, that also reflects in his art. He as well as Pablo Picasso and Francesco Goya, even though he was on the opposite side of the world, they were known to almost like predict the energy of war, and they would paint that, which is quite interesting to know that like some artists in like history almost like painted what the world would feel like before it happened. You know, it's almost like they are the connection of the divine to other people, which I still think art is. In my mind, I wrote a note here that says, illogical creative into deep expression of personhood. So again, it's like this, I'm part of everything, and to know I'm feeling very deeply about my own personal anguish in the situation that I'm in. And so, yeah, a little more about his life quickly, and then we're going to get into specific artworks. So his first show was in one of the first art galleries in Spain, and his first art show was ridiculed. It was defaced. People tore it up. People threw new paint on it. So his first show ended up not being that great, but he still carried on and was actually influenced by the academies of the French fine art regions, and then kind of like built the way that he displayed his work after that. And this was still during him going to the Fine Art Academy during his like pre-20s. Do you know what I'm saying? And then in his 20s, he ended up actually leaving the Fine Art Academy and going to business school to try and be a businessman. They didn't really give a specific thing of what he was trying to achieve, trying to go to business school. But during studying, he had a nervous breakdown and went back immediately to art. And again, to me it's this like descent into madness a little bit of like returning to something that like can only like fulfill you in that way, which again I feel like all of us creatives kind of get to, where we try to be normal human beings, in the sense that we try to find stability in these things that other people find. So 9-to-5 jobs, you know, these like grandiose is not the word, but like more I guess more respected occupations. You try to be part of the mass that is doing the most, I guess, quote unquote. And then you end up realizing that low-key that is never has and will never be for you. And so you have to return to the thing that brings you the most joy, but also that can like fuel you to do better, to be better too, or you know. So I feel like that's what happened to him. Went back to art, became contemporaries with Pablo Picasso, did many tours around the world, went to the US to display his art. And when he went to the US, within like 2 years of him being in the US, the Spanish Civil War happened. And at this point, he wanted to go back home, to be at home with these people and to be part of, I guess, the resistance of the Spanish Civil War. But he couldn't go back home. And so that also influenced a lot of his protest art during this time. And poor Miro he had a very long life, and he just died of heart failure, which I feel like if you're old, and not that it makes sense, but like Do you know what I'm saying? Also, a funny and interesting thing that I thought was really funny, because I feel like me and my circle would appreciate this fact, is that this motherfucker was cooking with Sigmund Freud at the time, because Freud was also a contemporary of his, and he was also one of the motherfuckers who would love to enjoy trying to hallucinate in different ways to try and get to an altered state of consciousness. Because again, we're coming back to this idea of like unconscious, illogical, dreamlike type of art. And so for him to try and tap into those types of places to draw or to paint from, he would partake and indulge Freud in things of like hunger, like starvation, exhaustion, not sleeping for like a period of days, also really happy, also like pushing states of such I think the word is exhalation, so like being extremely happy, and also what I found really interesting that I want to ask researcher Jody to ask is that they used to read Surrealist poetry. What the fuck is Surrealist poetry? Because that was apparently one of the ways that he would start hallucinating, is by reading Surrealist poetry. How hard were these words that you would be already like altered into a state? And before we get into the surrealist art, so I've said it before in season 1, but I studied art in high school, and a lot of the things we used to do is when we try to work up to our final work for that term or that quarter, we would have to do an artist analysis. And during last year, when I did the artist way and tried to get back to like my sort of like niche of art, I went through a cycle of trying to like get back into what I really love when it comes to looking and interpreting art myself, and Miro was one of them. And so this is my artist analysis I did. So all these drawings or like pen paintings that you see are actual Miro art that I essentially interpreted by myself. The only thing that I got wrong was, and I wrote it as issues to trying to relate to him, was that the way he paints is chaotic, but it's so intentional in the way that proportion is placed. I could not get the proportion right for any of his work, even this simple one right here. The proportion is fucked. His awareness of space is kind of like it's amazing. And yeah, I just wanted to understand how he uses space and how he uses space to articulate what he feels, even if it's just dreamlike or illogical. And I will say that this artwork in particular, also, aren't I so fucking clever? Mirroring Miro. I'm so smart. But this bro, this red one in particular, has inspired a lot of, well, not a lot of, but a series of art that I've enjoyed doing. So yeah, let's get into the specific art work. Let's read the Surrealist. The face of precipice is black with lovers. The sun above them is a bag of nails. The spring's first river hide among their hair. Goliath plunges his hand into the poisoned well and bows his head and feels my feet walk through his brain. The children chasing butterflies turn around and see him there, and with his hand in the well and my body growing from his head, are afraid. They drop their nets and walk into the wall like smoke. The smooth plain with its mirrors... What the fuck? The smooth plain with its mirrors listen to the cliff, like a basilisk eating flowers. And the children, lost in the shadows of catacombs, call to the mirrors for help. Strong bow of salt, cut last of memory, write on the map of my name every river. Go stream on Apple Music. Shameless plug. Okay, so before we get into the specific artwork that I want to talk about. I just want to mention notable faves, my favorite artworks from Miro. The first one that I have to suggest that you kind of look at, and I hope Jody will put it up here, is the Harlequinn's Carnival. One thing that I wrote down here that I found quite interesting is a lot of these chaotic paintings that he did. There will always be an abstract ladder in the painting. And in some of the written interviews that he did when he was still alive, he said that obviously painting is his escape from the chaotic world, from the depression he feels in his real life, and ladders are his iconography for escaping his chaotic mind, for escaping his chaotic circumstances, etc., etc. So a ladder is in the Harlequinn's Carnival. Vines and olive trees. This is where Picasso and Cézanne's influence is really apparent, because on one hand it's very surreal in how it's presented to you, but in its detail it's very cubist. It's very like, structured, square. It's beautiful. I think you should really, you'll see it here. One that strikes me as childlike but also strikes me very hard, as very emotional and deep, it's called Blue 2. This is one of those artworks where you can tell that it was just for him to escape, you know what I'm saying? It was just for him to breathe through it, and you can really tell. And then one that I particularly love, just for like how it looks aesthetically, it makes my brain feel fuzzy in the best way, is called Dutch Interior 1. Again, it's actually more on the borderline of surrealism and fauvism. So fauvism, that I remember I even wrote, so fauvism is expressionism with more vibrant color, with more painterly detail. So the brush strokes are very apparent. You will see every bristle of that brush in every stroke that you see. Very, like whole lines, not quite detailed in that way. And you could say it's quite stylized, but I would say, again, it's more painterly than it is cartoony in the way that stylized is kind of like described. Man and Woman in Front of a Pile of Excrement by Joan Miró, 1935. You'll put it here. As you can see, it's, for lack of a better word, it looks like neon paint expired on black canvas. But it's part of a collection of paintings that the public called his wild paintings, and it's scenarios of horrors. And this particular painting was during the Spanish Civil War, or actually just before, because it was a premonition. It was a premonition of a war, and of almost like he described it as like a disgusting air. That's why you can see in the painting that the sky, or at least the background trying to represent the sky, is black. And he said, again, I'm pulling from as much research that I could pull from, but in one of the interviews describing this painting, he said that it's about an emanating disaster. It's like the feeling before rain. And it was the feeling before the Spanish Civil War, and before the Second World War as well. And like I said earlier, he was not the first artist to have premonitions of war. Salvador Dali, our fave, not really. He was also one of the people to have premonitions of war, as well as, like I said, Francisco Goya, who is one of my favorite artists as well. I think we'll also do an art analysis on him soon, but he was again on the opposite side of the world during the Spanish Inquisition. Anyway, I think it's, again, back to the topic of being able as an artist to like feel where the world is going to go, and then being able to almost like make a hallmark of time for those moments just before the world started cracking in pieces, you know what I'm saying? And the title is actually written in French and not in Spanish, because Miro was inspired, or at least very fascinated by something that Rembrandt said, where it's something along the lines of, "I can find rubies and emeralds in a pile of dung." Remember, this is a painting talking about a man and a woman in front of a pile of shit. So there's that. The painting is basically two bodies, two sort of like body figures trying to reach out and embrace each other, but are caught in the stillness, so they can't really move. But the puss and the dick are growing into this dark and disturbing place, and that is supposed to kind of like signal foreboding war. I don't know how puss and dick are supposed to forebode war, but the painting definitely does make me feel uncomfortable. And also, something that I read on one of the analysis that I got from this painting is that someone said that the pile of excrement, so the pile of shit, is it glows. Obviously, because most of the background is black, so the pile of shit glows. And they made a reference to, at this time, obviously during the Spanish World War, and also the weird religious context that were happening in Spain, that this particular I guess art critic said that the position of where the shit is and how the shit kind of glows is almost like how Spanish religious art, how halos glow, and how people are more concerned with, I guess, praising the things that turn us into nothingness. Hence, man and a woman in front of a pile of excrement. That, if you want to read the full criticism of this artwork that I got into and that I found this particular comment from, it's called Grokkipedia. It's fully just for art critics and for art lovers who like to get into kind of analysis of art. Fuck's sake. But yeah, I love getting into art like this because it reflects like important times in history, and I feel like right now is almost borderline reflection of what I think like Miro is going through, where there's an energy in the air where like something's not right, you know what I'm saying? The fish is off, the chickens are foul. Get it? And it's just not feeling good, and I hope that us as artists, we are able to not only capture the moment in time that we are all experiencing, but also the feelings that we're all experiencing as well. I feel like that's what art is supposed to do. I feel like I'm too personally critical of my own art to want to get into socio-political art that means something. Not that my art doesn't mean anything, but it's still very personal. It's still very much surrealism. It's still very much the fun of being able to create. And I feel it takes a lot. It takes a lot of selflessness, actually, to be able to paint the situation that you're in, and rather not the experience that you are in. Does that make sense? The milieu that you find yourself in, rather than the experiences that you are experiencing. That makes more sense. And I hope that in my lifetime I get to see someone that fully takes that on and is fully articulate of all the angst and the hopelessness that I think our generation and the people that live with us feel. Wow, that's a wild way to end the first episode. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I'm really excited to do this again. This has made my day, honestly. I won't lie. It's been great to talk about some shit that I find really cool and important. And I hope to see you on the next one. Please remember to follow That's a Damn Problem on Instagram. If you want, you can follow Nexa. Not pushing you to that, because obviously this is just me talking shit. And if you want any more of the resources that I used, they will be available to you. And until next time, bye.
I can't fake it. I want more out of life. My mind won't shake it, but if you shake it, I might fuck around and give you the whole